Hello, this is Alison Marlowe here, founder of Global Winning Women, and I'm absolutely delighted to be introducing you today to our guest speaker on Winning Women Live, and that is Isabel Gainford. Well, I know Isabel as Izzy, and people very quickly get to know her as Izzy, but for the benefit of this call, let's introduce you as Isabel. Hi, Isabel, how are you?
Hello, Alison. Good morning. How are you? I am so well, thank you.
Great. It's so lovely to be connected today. And, Izzy, I can't call you Isabel. you're to me now, but I know obviously in terms of, finding yourself and things like that on the internet that you use your full name. So, it's going to be a challenge to stick to Isabel as opposed to Izzy.
Please don't go with Izzy. It's perfectly fine.
Okay. So, we've known each other a few years now, and one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you to the Winning Women Live call was I know that you have a really big passion around branding. What I'd love you to do to kick off, please, would you just tell us a little bit about what you do and just as importantly, how you came to be doing this.
Absolutely. Of course, Alison. Well, I work fundamentally with coaches and trainers and mentors and therapists, consultants, people that are in this people helping industry of ours, people that have a message that they have got a burning need to get out into the world. And fundamentally, the key factor is that what they are selling, what they promote, what they do in the world that is so different is that it's intangible. And when something is intangible, it can be difficult to make it a tangible thing. And so my work involves the brand around my client's business in a visual and verbal way. So we look at everything visual related to the brand and your business and yourself. And then we look at all the verbal language that you're going to use to promote yourself so that people really get your message and you become distinct and compelling. And this is my driving passion. I sincerely want everyone who's got the drive to want to do this to be able to make a great life for themselves, doing what they love every day. And my belief is that my offering assists that and helps people to elevate themselves and really get their message out there clear and sure and build that attraction. So you asked about why this is the thing that I do. And a very quick rundown of that. Colour has been a massive sort of joy in my life, all my life. I've always loved colour. I'm really affected by it, especially if I'm in a room and the colours jar for me and I don't feel comfortable. I really am edgy. I would choose a restaurant based on the colour and the ambience as much as the food.
Wow.
I really feel awkward in a clinical sort of for myself, but a very clinical Spartan sort of environment doesn't suit my personality, and I love comfort and coziness and warmth and tactile stuff. So that's me. Now that doesn't make me right and others wrong, because of course everybody's different and everybody feels comfortable in certain environments. But when you know that environment that you feel comfortable in, that is a great starter for thinking about your brand, because it's a big key factor in how you will be comfortable getting yourself out there and seen and recognized. And so there's the factor of how you're comfortable, but also the other part of it is thinking about your ideal client and what makes them feel really in the right place. And so my work involves the combination of those two things, bringing them together in a really succinct and clear way, so that the message that you impart and the feeling that people get when they come into contact with you is, if they're your ideal client, the one that makes them want to come closer.
Wow. So Isabel, tell us a little bit about how long you've actually been doing this in the way that you're doing it now, working with coaches, therapists, and that kind of arena.
Yeah, sure. In this arena, working with coaches and therapists and, as we say, mentors, speakers, those types of people, I've been working like this since 2010.
Okay.
I was branding before, but it was more for commercial companies, and there was very much of more of a financial bent on it, really. And also, I have branded products and packaging and that sort of thing. Not extensively, so I wouldn't claim that at all. But really, all my life, brand has been there or thereabouts, and I haven't always realised. I've designed a lot. I've done interior design and garden design, and I often had great ideas of businesses that I wanted to run. I would want to create this, amazing garden design business, and I'd have a workforce, and I got all these crazy ideas in the 90s. Really, I think a lot of this came to the fore when I had young children, and I was starting to think, what am I going to do, while they're small. And so I would get the brand together, and I would build a visual and verbal message, so that it really sang out, and it screamed what this so-called company would be about. And then I'd get another idea, like, oh, feng shui, I'm definitely going to get into this feng shui thing, so I'll create this brand all around that. And honestly, it took years later, really, to recognise that it was the brand thing that was my absolute niche and my calling. And it took somebody else to point it out to me. They asked me to brand their business for them because they'd heard about my colour expertise. I trained as a colour consultant back in the 90s, and so I had all this grounding behind me. And when I went in and actually created the logo and the wording and the feel and everything, he just said, "Oh, good. Why are you not doing this?" And this was probably in the late. What are we in now? I don't know, 2008 or 9 or something around then. And that was it. The penny just dropped. It's like, oh my God, I'm bringing everything I love: my colour, my design. I love personality profiling, and of course coaching. I'm qualified as a coach. I trained with Fiona Howell, and all of that together suddenly created this package for me that was unique and distinct, that nobody else was doing and nobody else offers, I don't believe, to the coaching industry, to really step into your, coach's shoes, to understand. I understand what it's like to be a coach. I use coaches all the time, and so yeah, use all my design ability to help you become distinct and memorable and compelling.
Fabulous. And I'm so glad that you shared that little bit of story as well, because I think there are a lot of women out there, and I say women because, our audience is typically women, a lot of women out there who feel that they've got to get this all sorted out, straight away. This is going to be my business idea. But actually, it takes time to evolve, doesn't it? And I'm so glad you shared that. And it's delightful to be able to hear that you're really living on purpose right now. I really want to just start digging into the brand side of things now, because one of the things that I'm hearing very much already in the call, you're talking about verbal message. Now, share with us, let's really define what exactly is a brand, because, typically most people kind of think logo, which is the visual aspect, but you're talking about the verbal message as well. So please share with us, what's your definition of a brand?
Yeah, sure. And actually, it's not even the verbal message either.
Okay.
This is the scary thing. Really, what a brand is the perception that other people have of you and your business.
Other people's perception.
Yep, it's other people's perception. It isn't whatever you do, even all the work you do with me. If somebody else feels something differently about you, then that's their brand. If people get a reputation or a way of being, or people start to associate certain words with someone, that very quickly becomes their brand. And it's very, very scary, It's like a Chinese whisper or gossip, It goes round and round, and if you leave it to somebody else to judge you without giving them anything to judge intentionally, they will make a decision about who you are and what you're like and what you'd be like to work with. So the whole point is to give them that, let them know what you're like through your verbal and visual brand, so that they can make the judgment that is the one you want them to make. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And brand is not, I want to really make this clear. Brand is not a facade. It's not like armor. It's not like a suit of clothing that you put on to change who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Some people treat it that way, but that will not serve you. It doesn't help. It's not just gloss on top. My belief and my company and the way I bring myself to market is through the brand beneath. And for me, the brand, this is my philosophy about brand. Brand is something that is beneath your skin. It's within you already. It's in there. It's your ideal calling, and it wants to get out. If you just will let it shine, you will start to rise. I know that I get tingles when I talk about the brand beneath, because it's in you. You know, we just got to uncover it. You know, we've just got to unearth it and let it out into the daylight. And when you do that, the brand is, again, beneath you then, because it's like a support. It's not pulling you up. It's not pushing you out there. It's elevating you. It's lifting you. It's enabling you to be all you can be.
And that's really what Winning Women is all about as well. So this is fabulous to be really hearing this as well, because as you were talking then, I was remembering, it took me back in time to an event that I was sat at, and I could almost feel this purpose within me. It was before my own global vision had really landed. But I felt almost like, and the way I'm going to describe it here is a little bit wacky, but it was like a champagne bottle, and the cork wanted to pop off and, you know, allow all that goodness out, you know, and kind of, obviously I've worked with you. You've been very integral within the Winning Women brand, helping me to develop that. And, you know, that is really beneath the brand, you know, my definition of that. It was about opening that champagne bottle and allowing that to really come out, and all that greatness that comes with that. So,
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. So I'm really fascinated about this whole subject, and I really feel quite passionate about, you know, also supporting you in getting this out, because I know the benefits that I have gained personally. But for those who are really listening in to the Winning Women live call today, can you really give us some indication about how we can really benefit from our brand?
Absolutely, Alison. I think this is a key question, really, because it is a bit of an enigma, isn't it, brand? It's like, what is all this thing? Surely it's just some, you know, I can go to 99 Designs online and I can go and download some logo. That, you know, that will do. It's just shove something up, you know, that'll do. But the reality is that there is a fortune hidden inside our brand. Ooh. And, you know, there are financial gains to be had from really working diligently and attending to your brand. And I want to explain this a bit more, because I think a lot of people's decisions are based on the finances, understandably. It's like, well, am I going to really financially benefit if I go down this line? It's not just a, you know, nice to have. And I totally understand that. You know, we're all making our way, and we have to make decisions on what we do. So I do like to address this, because I do know it's a bit of a woolly area, you know? Mm-hmm. So in order to find this fortune, and I'll come to that word in a minute, because it is a key word in this. Okay. We have to know, first of all, what it takes to truly elevate our message and our voice. So whether you're a coach, or whether you're networking, or whether you have a presence online, or you're speaking on stage, or even when you're in a sales conversation, you need to be able to speak with depth, with real depth. You need to be able to speak with feeling from the heart, from your soul. Not only having depth of your own subject and being able to impart that, but also having a deep understanding of who your ideal client is, who it is that you're trying to attract. Because I think often we go into business and we attract a certain person, or we market to a certain person, but that isn't who our clients are. So, you know, to get to really know and understand our clients. So the first port of call is to gain that depth and understanding. And there's you know, ways of doing that so that you can get this real 3D feeling, you know, for your business, and being able to converse without getting tongue-tied and wondering what to say next, you know. And then there's the second thing that we need to do so that we can elevate ourselves is to gain clarity. Now, clarity is a gorgeous word, and it's about being succinct, but in a compelling way. So we have to get our point across quickly, because we don't always have a lot of time to have deep conversations with people, and people will just flip by sometimes, you know. So make sure we've got the first thing we say being the most captivating thing we say. So gaining that clarity is huge in being able to elevate yourself. And then we need to get a sense of focus. And when we're speaking and we're imparting our message, or we're writing on our website, or however we're putting ourselves out there, we have to have focus. We have to be going somewhere. Yeah. We need direction, and we need to know what the end journey is, and that's where we're aiming for. If we don't have focus, we waffle. We end up just waffling around the subject. You know, we don't know. We're not really adding content, and people will switch off. You know when you see people glaze over. You know, you think, I've lost this. You know, it's that feeling. And then the next thing that we need to create this fortune that I'm going to describe for you in a second is confidence. When we can go out with our business and draw on our passion and have that self-esteem in ourselves and be confident about our message and have the self-worth to really be able to, you know, you get that magnetic feel from people and you're just drawn, aren't you? They've got something about them, a charisma. And that builds as you get this clarity and depth around your brand. And then the last thing is the alignment of your brand. When you have worked on your brand and you've worked on the visual and verbal side of your brand, which comes as a result of all of this other work, then everything becomes aligned. Everything's in synergy in your business and in your message, and wherever anyone finds you online or as they're starting to move towards you, all the layers stack up. It's all aligned. It all just continues to add trust for people, that they believe that you are who you say you are, and it is worthy of moving towards you. And the very final thing, Alison, is to know to your core the transformation that you bring to others. When you know, not my belief is, I know people talk a lot about results, and you know, it's a different way of looking at it. But for me, it's not just results, it's transformation. You need to know the transformation you're going to bring, because then when you know that, you can let them know it too. And that is so enticing. It's a bit like saying, I want to buy a 3-bedroom house with a south-facing garden. And then the estate agent says to you, right, I have one. Perfect. You know, results. We all know it won't necessarily be the right one, don't we? But when you step into the right house, it's transformational. You're living there, aren't you? Your furniture's going in as you're walking around. You know, and we need to know the transformation that we bring to our clients and let them know about that. And so when all this is put together, this is where the fortune is discovered, because once you build your brand and it's running deep and you have crystal clarity and this laser focus and you're oozing confidence and everything's in alignment, then you become fortunate. Oh. It's amazing how fortunate you get when people can understand you. Suddenly, opportunities arise, doors open, people start to want to work with you, and you become incredibly fortunate, and that is how your fortune comes.
I love that. That is absolutely fabulous. And it's so true as well. And I'm so glad that we spent some time just exploring this, because, you know, I think that there are a lot of people out there, and me, myself, until we did some work together, that don't really understand brand. and in their mind, they see the benefits as being all about visibility, being seen in the marketplace, or however you want to describe that. However, what I'm loving is what you've brought into here, the financial, the fortune element as well, and I think that is just so important because, effectively, why are we in business in the first place? We're here. The whole idea of running a business is actually to make a profit and to create money for ourselves. So this is fabulous, and it just really gives that additional edge. I'm going to say an additional edge to branding. I just think it's fabulous, and I love the points that you've made there, particularly that transformation thing. And I know that we've got other people on the call today that probably aren't working in our industry as service-based industries that are working in transformational fields. However, I would say, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, that, even if you're perhaps working in retail, you are still creating a transformation for people. Have this conversation with lots of people. Have you got a take on that?
I'm in complete agreement. If you're, I mean, can you give me a topic of without necessarily naming names, but give me a slight summary of somebody's business that isn't in the service industry?
I was just thinking over a couple of people that come along to, Winning Women meetings that perhaps are in retail.
Okay, so let's say you have a clothes shop.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. So rather than it just being about, the result is somebody needs a dress for the weekend. So the result is you give them a dress and they've got a dress for the weekend. That's a result. It's happened. They've paid and you've got a result. But the difference in the way you craft the way you interact with that client so that they become a lifelong client of yours is to talk about the transformation that dress is going to make and how it's going to help the person go with the confidence if the dress was for a first date or something. Get into that conversation about the first date and just say, I can't wait till you come, you tell me about the second date, where are you going to go? It'd be so exciting trying to work out how we're going to dress you for that, get straight back, I can't wait, get into that personal connection with somebody and start to understand them and know what it is. You need to be, I think the key to business success is to constantly place yourself in that person's shoes. Just get in their shoes all the time. Just keep going in their shoes, turning around, looking back at yourself and thinking, what would I want to hear here? What is going to make me want to move forward? What am I perceiving right now? And when you do that, when you step over to the other side, it's a typical coaching technique, isn't it? To step across, you often do that. Then you move to the other chair and you look back or you look at a TV screen or whatever. It's the same principle. But this is how you can really market yourself. If you step across and you look back and think, well, would that make me click that button? Or would that make me make that phone call to her? Or would it make me come up to her after I heard the talk and say, I really feel we need to work together? Yeah. Because if what you're saying isn't going to make them do that, then, get back to the drawing board.
Absolutely. So, Izzy, I feel very strongly now that we've created you have created a fabulous picture here about what branding is. So I know that there's a lot of women that are going to be on the call today. Some will have done perhaps a little bit of branding. There's going to be other people that are like, hey, I haven't got a clue. Where do I start? What would you suggest? Where do you suggest that somebody would start with their branding?
Oh, I do apologise if an ambulance just flew by on the far side of my house. I hope it wasn't too noisy for you. Where would they start? Yeah.
What would your typical advice be to somebody starting out with this whole big branding concept?
Okay. So you start with the end result, and the end result is to want to be distinct, memorable, and compelling. If you are not distinct, memorable, and compelling, you are not going to be there for longevity. That's the way it is, and that obviously links with how best to serve your client. I think you need that in your mind all the time. So the first port of call is to look at what you really want to be doing. I think you can build a business and 5 years down the line you look back and think, I didn't even want to run this business. This is a nightmare. You know, I'm stuck at the computer all day, or I'm just you know, trying to deal with staff all day, or I'm, you know, whatever the thing is, it can keep the end result in mind all the time. Just keep checking in. Is this in line? Am I still in the direction? You know, if we're going to drive to Newcastle, we don't drift zigzaggy up the country, do we? We work out where we're trying to get to, and then we keep that in mind with blinkers on, you know. So that's the art. So get in touch with who it is, what it is that you want to actually be doing with your days, the actual physical, you know, the actual activity that you want to do, and who is it that you want to serve? Who are the clients that you love to work with? You're not. I think we are all women here, and we all have this feeling that we need to save everybody, you know. and life is not completely about going out with that crusade mentality. Now, I do have that crusade mentality, big style, and I can get into trouble with it because I do really want to help everybody, and you know, one has to sort of just step back sometimes and think. But although we have that feeling that we want to serve everybody, just take all the judgment away and just be a bit selfish. Who do you love working with? Do you love people that are full of energy? Do you love people that like some quiet space with you? Do you love people who are you know, I'm trying to think of other examples, you know, just work out the type of people that you love working with, and then get in their shoes. Get in their shoes, look back and think, what do I want to hear from her to make me want to move closer to her?
Yeah. So in terms of, you know, really understanding what makes us distinct, memorable, and you know, the compelling message there, do you think this is something that is quite easy for a business owner to do on their own? And the reason I ask the question is because when I come to write my own web copy, for example, sometimes I find it hard to write about myself. However, you know, when I work with my clients, to be able to critique some of their written word, to just shape it a little bit, I always find that so much easier, helping somebody else and actually working on my own stuff. So I'm just curious really about your thoughts about kind of doing your own branding.
Yeah. Again, very interesting. It is difficult. I actually find it difficult doing my own stuff, even in brand, because I am so emotionally attached. You know, I am emotionally attached to my business. And when you're emotionally attached, you don't have the objective judgment that you need to work out what's going to work and what's not going to work. We're all good at the things we do, and we should stick to the things that we do and spend our time doing that. And then my view is bring in experts who are good at the other things and allow them, bring them in, you know, invite them into your company to be able to let them do their magic for you, you know, because why would you want to go and learn everything about how, you know, totally how to do all this stuff and then go off and have to do it when you could actually just discover it in a way by connecting with someone. I'm not just talking about my own business here, but whatever your ability is, you know, whatever you don't like. I mean, I hate bookkeeping, you know, so I struggle with bookkeeping. I'm really, you know, no, there are people, I can't believe it, but there are people that love bookkeeping, and so let's get a bookkeeper in, you know, and we can't judge our own position in the same way that it can be done with somebody else with knowledge and expertise in that field. You know, an analogy I use sometimes is when we meet somebody for the, you know, I expect quite a lot of us are now, you know, attached or married or whatever, but, you know, the time, or maybe there are many people that are looking for somebody, and that's, you know, it's a great feeling, isn't it? It's exciting when you meet someone and you go into this heady space and everything's perfect. You know, if any, you can't find fault in that person. They're just perfect, you know, they're perfect, and they think you're perfect. It's all perfect. And I think you can keep that up for about, well, I think the all of the fuzziness dies away after 18 months. You can't keep it up forever. And eventually, you know, the knickers are on the floor. I don't mean it in that way. I meant like dirty washing on the floor, and you just haven't cleaned the plates. And you know, and you slob about and you're in slippers all day or whatever the thing is that you do. And you're really the real you. And it's the same in your business.
Yeah.
Don't pretend. Don't put falsity on anything. You can't. It's putting a false picture out there, and you can't judge yourself. That's the problem. But putting a false picture out there, what it does, it's a disaster on two counts. First of all, if you've put out a false facade, you'll attract people to that facade thinking it's the real you. Then they find you and they realise you're not all that they were expecting. So that's a no-goer. That won't work. Mm-hmm. And secondly, you're putting out a false facade. And so the people that you really do want to be working with and would be the ideal clients to work with you aren't coming towards you because they don't see that. They see the false facade and they don't want that facade. So you don't attract them either. Can you see how it's like a vicious circle? It doesn't work.
No, absolutely. So I'm really big on collaborating and working with other people in any case. I always believe very much that, you know, when you pull a few minds together, you know, you come up with bigger ideas and, you know, ideas apart from one another. Yes. What about people that are very early on in their journey? How important is branding right from the outset? And the reason I'm asking this question is very much about, I'm a great believer, at least, that our business evolves. I'm curious to know your input, really, your thoughts around that. Just share with us some of your thoughts, please.
Absolutely. It is an interesting subject, and I think that the answer lies when. If I'm going to talk in the we, not the you, because I'm also guilty of this, and I would expect that everybody who's listening into this resonates. Mm-hmm. How long did we go down a path, then go down another path, then think no, that's not right, it's this instead, and then go round and back around about, and then spin round a bit, and then think no, I'm going to offer everything to everyone here because I've got so many talents, and we all have, you know, we all could do a lot of things. I can do a lot of things other than what I do, and try to do that, and try to entice anyone into anything you can do at any time, sometimes at any price, frankly, and so I would reflect on the advice one could give to somebody starting out, and then look at ourselves and think, well, would I really love to have got clear much earlier and not had to spin around like a mad, you know, thing, trying to work out how to do this thing. And so what brand does is it helps you to get the depth and the clarity and the focus and all the things we've talked about, because we leave no stone unturned. We work on every part so that sometimes it takes you years to work those parts out, but if you work on them earlier, then the clarity, you know, comes. And yes, Alison, you're absolutely right. We do evolve. I've evolved. My business started out as Isabel Gainford at isabelgainford.com, and I still do that. And that's my work with my one-to-one clients, of which you've experienced. And you know, I've found a lot of coaches now and differentiated themselves in the marketplace. And that still is my company. But I've recently started to work with groups of people, and that's how the brand Beneath was born. So this is my own involvement into the brand Beneath, because that symbolises how we're going to get people's gift out into the world and shine. And so my one-to-one work is a very private and personal thing. And what happens is that somebody just comes out, you know, at the end of that, with all this confidence. But the one-to-one work is more about the collaboration that you're speaking of, and bringing people together and helping each other and getting that support and that lift from the brand Beneath. And so I've evolved myself. So I'm not static, and neither should anyone else be. And as you develop programs and you develop services, this all adds to your brand. You know, the brand language continues and it evolves, and it becomes stronger and wider. And you know when you've really cracked it is when you realise that other people are using your brand language.
Wow.
That is a key tipping moment, when someone comes up to you and speaks to you in your brand language that you've created, and you suddenly think, Whoa.
Yeah.
Yes, it's exciting.
That must be very, very exciting.
Well,
And
Alison, you know, winning women, you've got it.
thank you. And I just wanted to address this a point because, you know, Winning Women really supports women at all different stages of their businesses. So we may have some people listening on the call today that have just kind of been around for maybe just 6 weeks or something, you know, 6 months, 6 years. It really doesn't matter. But I really also know that sometimes in those early days there can be so much overwhelm. What do I do first? And I'm really glad that I kind of asked that question because it goes back to having that depth, that clarity, the focus and the confidence that you talked about at the beginning. So I really do believe that, you know, it is worth investing your time in looking at your branding for your business, your company, or you even. And that's a very, very important key because I know that there are a lot of women who's like, what do I do first? There's so much to do when I'm starting out. But, you know, obviously, it just makes so much sense to really spend the time and the money, you know, investing in yourself to really look at what it is that you are creating. And I honestly think, in hindsight, that I was very much one of those that'll do kind of people. And it wasn't really until I had the opportunity to work with you that I really understood all of this at a much, much deeper level. So I have that to thank you for. And I'm just wondering now, where can people find out more about any opportunities, not necessarily just to work with you, but find out a little bit more about the way that you work? Because, you know, my belief is here there are going to be lots of people on the call that are going to feel immediately drawn to you, and there's going to be other people that just like kind of curious and want to kind of see a little bit about what you like. Where can we find out a little bit more about you?
Okay, well, both of my websites, and they're complementary websites, so some of the information is repeated on both because it clearly depends where people find me. So you can find me at isabelgainford.com. That's Isabel with an A, so ISABEL, Gainford, no S in Gainford, so isabelgainford.com, or my partner website, which is thebrandbeneath.com, and I am tending to point people to that one now because I'm keeping that one stronger as I move forward now as my own business evolves, like you were talking about earlier. So thebrandbeneath.com, and on there there's a lot of information and a lot about my philosophy and what I believe and how this can help you. And there's a free report that you can download called How to Give Myself, How to Give Yourself a Compelling Brand. And that is a great starting point, you know, because you can really just privately look at what you're doing right and what you might be doing wrong. And it gives you really key pointers. And I would like to say, because I know people download that and like all these downloads, we don't do anything with it. Please go through page 11. That report is really will move you forward. Page 11 specifically will really move you forward. So, you know, that's a starting point to get some work under your belt and to start getting that clarity. And then also social media. I'm on Facebook as Izzy Gainford. I still haven't got a business page, Alison, because I haven't got the time. I really need to get that sorted. But, you know, just my normal profile is Izzy Gainford on Facebook, and then LinkedIn, I'm more formal, so I'm Isabel Gainford on LinkedIn, and you can catch me at both those places.
That's fabulous. So, you know, please, people who are listening in today, you know, just go and take a look at connecting with Izzy, either looking at her website, and again, that's Isabel Gainford, and we'll send out the links to this as well, or the Brand Beneath, which, you know, is a fabulous site as well. I would just like, I'm really conscious of the time right now, I just would like to kind of wrap up thinking a little bit about ultimately, what would you say? What does a strong brand ultimately give you? If we could just kind of wrap up with that today, Isabel, what would you say?
Well, a strong brand gives you the key elements that we've been speaking about, and although it's reiterating, if I could get nothing else through, I just want you to know when you have a strong brand, that depth is just built into you. You are clear. You can speak confidently. You know where you're going. Everything's aligned. You don't spend hours wondering how to present yourself next or how to even put a blinking PowerPoint together, because it's like your brand colours, your brand message, how you put yourself out there. And a strong brand enables you to impart this to the people that want to work with you so that they are magnetically drawn and just can't help themselves but move closer to find out more. And the depth of the brand that the understanding around your brand and your ability to succinctly project that message just will enable those people to stop searching and looking for the ideal person, because they find you and they go, that's it. I don't need to look anymore. It's her.
Fabulous. And that's the precise point that I wanted to come back to that, because I wanted you to reiterate the real importance about having, such a strong brand. Isabel, before we just sign off, is there any, do you have any very quick tips that you might like to leave listeners with?
I have tips galore. Where should we start?
Maybe 3 very quick tips.
Okay, cool. I think get some help.
Okay.
Get it reflected, and if you are going to get help, make sure the person that you get help from knows about this subject and is able to advise in a way that is not from their viewpoint. It's not about their thoughts. It's like, oh well, I don't like that really. Who cares? It doesn't matter whether they. It's not. None of this is about what your best friend likes, or actually, to a degree, it's not wholly just about what you like. Mm-hmm. It's about the synergy of absolutely supporting you and you feeling really, really good and strong about this brand, but creating that attraction. So get help. You can't create all this on your own. It'd be like somebody asking me to create a gourmet meal. It's not gonna happen, honey. I would not cater for my own. I just we all have our talents, and that's not really one of mine. So that's the first thing I think. Get some viewpoints, and I'm incredibly happy to speak to someone, Alison. Of course, I'm so appreciative of what you've done and allowed me to come and speak with your gorgeous ladies. And so, I'm happy to have a call if somebody wants to just have a chat, so get some help. You wanted 3 tips. So another tip would be to just keep in mind that everything needs to be in synergy. As soon as something jars and is out of sorts with what you're trying to build, that's the point at which people start to lose interest and they just move off and forget about you. So it's about keeping all those layers in synergy with each other, so that the more someone interacts with you, and we all know people will interact with you without you knowing. They might be coming to your website and checking you out, or listening to your online stuff, or they might be listening to you in the audience when you speak, or they might be coming into your shop and coming and every time there's a touch point, we want to make sure that it's confirming and compounding this clear and succinct message of yours. And that really is my 3rd tip. If you getting the clear and succinct message is the thing. It's the way that it becomes your backstop. The way you speak on here, Alison, the way I speak is because we know our stuff to the core, and it doesn't panic us anymore because we know it. We know it. The depth is there. That's
such great advice. They're really, really great tips to be able to wind the call up. I don't like saying that because I could talk to you for hours about this subject, because I think it's so important. And, as I kind of sort of mentioned earlier, I hadn't realised how important all this stuff was until we did our work together. So, Izzy, thank you so much for your time. I think you've just been fabulous today in being able to share with us some really, really good information on branding and why it is so important, and even your passion, why it's so important to you as well. Just want to say thank you once again, and just to remind people very quickly that if you pop over to www.isabelgainford or the brand beneath, you can find out lots more about Izzy. Izzy, thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.